Let me remove this.
My apologies for this. My apologies for this. I had to change my my laptop. I had to change my computer. But thank you all. It's good to be here, and it's my pleasure being here. Eric, blessings to you, my brother.
Yeah. Yo, we have two of the most prestigious gentlemen actually looking at us right now. You know what I'm saying? So once again, I just want to say, everybody, welcome to AI News with Eric. And once again, we do have a powerhouse. And how do you pronounce your name?
It's Horatio.
And
Horatio Morgan.
that's exactly how I pronounced it too. So once again, he's someone who delivers real business results. Our guest is a business transformation leader and AI solutions engineer with 7+ years of experience turning AI strategies into profit. And for me, that's definitely a key, because that's what everybody is. That's one of the only questions people always ask me. How can I make money with AI? And to me, I always tell them, well, you got to learn what it is first. Because I always get them and I say, well, what is AI? Like, make money with what? They say AI. I say, what is it? They don't know. So to me, I think education is the key. So he's currently earning an executive post graduate diploma in AI from the University of Oxford, and brings a rare chief AI officer mindset, bringing the gap between technical teams and executive priorities. Most people don't even understand what a chief AI officer is. You're saving companies 50,000 and 120 labor hours weekly, unlocking 6 million in frozen federal funding. His AI work drives return on investment. He's PMP and Lean Six Sigma certified with expertise in AI governance, aligned with ISO 27001 and 42001. Once again, welcome to AI News with AI Eric. So I'm getting straight to the questions, man, since we had a little technical issues. This one here, we're talking about the AI implementation reality check. So you've been in the AI trenches for 7 years, delivering real results while many organizations are still figuring out their AI strategy.
Well,
No, hold on. What's the biggest gap you see between? Am I wrong about what I said was 7 years?
Well, it's 7 years in business transformation, about 2 years in AI.
Still 7 years plus. I mean, when you merge it, that still equal out, the math equal out to 7 years plus. But that's cool for clarifying that. You know what I'm saying? I have 3.5 years into artificial intelligence. I mean, I don't think it's, unless you're a data scientist or machine learning engineer, someone, you might have 5, 6, 7 years in this world, but it wasn't what it is today 6, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, you know? So my question though is, what's the biggest gap you see between what executives think AI can do and what it actually takes to implement AI successfully? And what's your advice for leaders who want to move from AI hype to AI value?
The first thing that you need to understand, really, and the biggest gap I've seen, is the data gap. We know that AI needs a lot of data to really be effective, and it doesn't. Not necessarily just a lot of data. Data need to be in a certain order, in a certain type. How you structure your data, how you gather your data. So the biggest gap is the data that currently exists in the business place. They want products that their organizations can't produce at the moment. And this comes with a lack of understanding that you need to look at what you have currently and try to gauge that to where you want to be. Like you're building your vision plan, literally. So there's no vision plan being built with the people in mind, with the customers in mind, and your data as a foundation for it. So that's the biggest gap. And what that has resulted in really is a lot of leaders working at the base level of AI, meaning that they're just looking at some lower level things, such as writing reports or automating some low level action, when you really should be looking at high value options, and that comes with taking an honest look at your system and assessing what's there and where you want to be. And that's where I come in. I'm specializing in actually AI implementation, how to prepare the organization to be ready for AI. And that's why I choose to get into that lane to where I can advise the C-suites and the leaders to look at their organization, see what their data foundation is like, and how we can move forward with what they are and where they want to be.
So let me ask you this: what size companies are you actually like aiming for?
Well, we're aiming for mid to small, medium business, small businesses, because we know that I know that the big fours, they have the large organizations, and a lot of them are in the process of getting off the ground. So I'm really looking at small to medium organizations that don't have the capacity, or they're just trying to develop that capacity.
When you say small, give me a number. Give me a number on size.
um, Small, from about 20 20 operators up, because, or for instance, I have an organization right now that they're just, it's only like one employee, a consultant that is building the organization off the ground. And I'm the advisor to that organization, where anything AI comes in as a chief AI officer. I'm the one who advises them. So they literally just have one employee, and I'm the person getting them. It's a lead generation business where they're building a website and so forth, and I'm advising them on governance and business, and the governance, data governance development. So it can be anywhere from zero to medium size, 900 persons per se.
So let me ask you this, man. I know I'm not even. I'm. This is not even a question that's on the paper, but how do you actually go to a company? Because first of all, what I find is AI is so confusing to people. Most people don't really know what it is. They think it's Chat GPT. Um, it's so many issues with artificial intelligence as far as ethics, governance, the new bill that the White House just passed, giving AI companies just anything they want to do. Like it's so much into this. So my thing is, how do you actually go to a company? Say for instance, there's a company I used to work for called A Syndico. They're a food distributing company. They have over 100 trucks, tractor trailers that they deliver in the tri-state. Um, State of the art facility, but it was built maybe 10 years ago. So my thing is, I don't know if he's implementing artificial intelligence, but if he's not, how do you go to a company like this and like how do you sell this to a company that actually is like, yo, we've been using our legacy systems, it's working, we're fine. We know this AI thing is coming, but right now we're fine. You know what I'm saying? We got 150 trucks going, we got this amount of employees, but so what I'm asking you is, how do you go to a company and try to sell them your business, and what happens to this company if they decide not to go with AI? Period.
Well, the first thing I want to say is, in this AI race, if the early starters are the ones who will benefit the most from it. The first thing I'll go to them and try and find out is, are your customers satisfied? Do you want to do things better? Because here's the thing now, you don't want to you don't want to implement AI in an organization just for AI's sake. If it doesn't bring innovation and quality, don't fix it. For instance, I my customers want a touchpad, right? But there are lots of services out there that you can get with AI that will make it faster and save you money. If I give you that service and ignore the fact that your customers want a touchpad, you will lose your customers and you will lose your business. So I need to know what your customers want first thing, to align your business to satisfy your customers. So I do an assessment I do an assessment of your customers' needs, the customers' wants. Then I'll do a current state analysis to see where you are and how much you are fulfilling those needs. And then we can work out if you need AI, what sort of AI system you need, and how we would implement that within the structure, because we have to start with your people. There are several different factors that you have to take in place. But I would first find out how you are serving your customers, and if you want to improve, and if there's room for growth that we can capitalize on while saving you money, because it's the most important thing is gaining a return on your investment using the right.
Well, I would guess the transportation would be one of the keys as far as implementing AI into the vehicles. I would figure that because there's so many vehicles moving. Um, I would probably say their customers are actually the restaurant owners, so they probably want their food quicker and cheaper. You know what I'm saying? Um, I would think that a chatbot, not implementing a chatbot system, I believe businesses are going to lose from that. So, say for instance, you say one of these companies that you might have 20 employees, or even less, and I believe, say for instance, you don't implement a chatbot system, I believe you might miss out in the future, because I believe eventually we're going to be forced into this to where if you don't end up getting involved with AI in some form of fact, I don't care how small you are, I believe you're going to miss the call. You know, say for example, I want to make some decisions on traveling, and I tell my chatbot to make 7 different moves, and now he has to connect with 7 other chatbots: the airline, the Uber, the hotel, the restaurant. But all I did was tell my chatbot just this one message what I want to do. He took care of everything else. But say for instance, I come into the small town where I live at, Mount Vernon, and I want to get a cake, and there ain't nothing but mom and pop shops around here. But there's 2 cake spots, say for instance, on Sanford Boulevard. One has a chat bot. One wants to keep their person answer the phone. They like the live. Now, my thing is, my chatbot ain't calling a human. My chatbot's going to call another chatbot. So that person that doesn't have that chatbot is going to miss out on that call. And most people will be using chatbots because they're going to be forced to. You know what I'm saying? So I know I went to the left with this, man, but I just had this.
But you realize that some customers need at least a human in that loop. I would design the chatbot to do that, but I'll go further, have an exit point that when the customers are experiencing some difficulties,
You
there's
got
an
to.
exit for a
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
When they want to speak to a human, there's an exit there for a
Yeah.
human, because remember, we're complementing the AI, not using the AI to totally replace humans. And
Yeah.
one of the ways you can use AI to at a higher level now is to start studying your customers to see which customers behave in which way, and who can I deliver my food to, who is my more high paying customers. So that's where you're moving from the top end of AI, rather than you'll implement the chatbot, but you're looking for more innovation that you can save money. And so you can save money when you use your AI to assess what is happening with the business. Who are my customers? Who are my potential customers? What can I do in terms of logistics? I know that Delta recently is trying to implement some of these things in their logistics, identifying the airline, identifying their passengers from their history and all of those things, which brings into play some form of ethics also. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, try and identify the highest. You start with a low hanging fruit, but then you try to identify the highest value that you can get from the AI. Chatbox is one, but we are looking also at analyzing your customers and see where you can save money and which customers you can pick up using
Yeah.
the AI. That's
Yeah.
where machine learning will come in to a certain extent.
Yeah. And then hypothesis, data, all that stuff. Evan just said just because AI has capabilities doesn't mean it matches your organization's business objective and values. Companies might be AI ready, but is the AI ready for that specific company.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
That's true, man. We're
You
moving
make,
so fast in this thing. So look, my question for number 2, the chief AI officer perspective. You bring a CAIO mindset to your work, which is fascinating because most companies, like I said earlier, don't even know what a chief AI officer is. From your Oxford studies and real world experience, what does effective AI governance look like? And how do you balance innovation speed with the risk management and compliance requirements, especially when you're dealing with the standards like the ISO standards?
AI governance for me begins before you even start the process, because it's from this perspective that you're going to be starting out your transformation, your transformation roadmap, assessing your product, assessing your people, and within this system also, that's where you implement your ethical standards. Because there's one belief that I have, and I've taken this from even before I started AI. If the head is bad, then the product will be bad. So it starts from the leadership, really. They're talking about governance starts from the leadership. Because if you want to implement a good governance system within your organization, you're not just going to be looking at the rules. You're going to be looking at how the rules are implemented within the system, how you resource those rules. So all of these things must be calculated within the governance framework. What do I need? What does my staff need from a people perspective, right? What's the this the appetite for AI within my organization? What is my organization known for breaking ethical rules? What are the guardrails that I put in place as a leader? So all of these things must be implemented within the governance model. All of these things must be communicated before the project starts. Literally, that's very important. It has to be implemented. It must be well thought out from the beginning, and you build on it. You don't necessarily have to write a complete governance framework, but it must be so developed that your team can follow, right? And at each stage of the development, you must have standards and guardrails put in place to support the development as it goes through. Like for instance, this project I tell you I'm on right now, where they're building out this website. At each stage, I'll go in, I look at the project, I see where there are deficits within what they're doing in terms of if it's HIPAA or the data or whatever, and then we constantly update the system, constantly update our policies, constantly work with our developers to put in place measures that will mitigate against the risk. So it's not a one-time thing where you make a one plan and it's forever. You make the one plan starting out after you do your assessment, but as you implement your governance framework, which also includes if you're using the EU Act or you're using the ISO Act. It must be built out with those standards in play, not only in your mind, but actually within the system, the AI system. And for this area, I do lean a lot on my brother Evan, because he's the expert in this area. As a chief AI officer, your role here is to not know everything, but be able to communicate some of these things to
Yeah.
your developers while working with your chief security officer, because your role should be as a collaborator, right? A collaborator who links the different pieces. So while you bring strategy and planning through your governance framework, you're working with your AI special, you're working with the CIO specialist, you're working with your red team, and if you're doing the work at that level, you're working with your blue team, and that is where I love Stephen Pullum's framework, where he has a CAIO, which is a chief AI officer,
Mhm.
the
Yeah, yeah,
chief
yeah, yeah.
officer.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's where bringing all of that, because you are the connector between the C-suite, every different level. You are the connector, And that's why I'm working now on LinkedIn to educate my people about it, because even such things as user use cases, those are like gold for us. It's a chief AI officer who goes out and get it. I have an event coming up in Atlanta next week, Friday, that I'll be pulling security use cases and looking at my team, and then we'll be assessing whether some of those cases can be put in place. So your job as a chief AI officer is not to come up with information. You are not a know all everything, but your job is to be able to speak to that professional and be able to gather the information and work with your team and work out a good framework, a good product for your organization, operating standards for your organization, to be able to move your team safely forward, whether it be in governance, whether it be in security. You are that person who brings together all the different teams.
It's interesting when you say bring together all the teams, because I ran into a situation where it was a group of people that was working on a project, and at the end, I loved the project, but I didn't like the name. The name, I hate to say it, it had black in it, and I was like, I don't know if that's going to work. But what at the end, the person who was the full stack engineer was the one that built the whole thing, and I think they was looking for data scientists, machine learning engineers, like the team. To me, that actually should have been the one to build it, not you by yourself. And that kind of is like, wow. I said, so my thing is, you did the data, you fine tuned it, you did everything. Like, isn't that biased? Like, you know what I'm saying? But and then when I, you know what I'm saying? And then when I asked,
Definitely.
but
All right.
you know what? Go
Typical
ahead.
example, right? My first degree is in economics and statistics, but I'm not going to be that machine learning person, because the technical persons don't normally work with the customers. That's why in project manager, you have a scrum master, you have a project manager, right? These are the person who goes out and gather the requirements and take it to the technical team.
Right,
That is what the CI should do.
right.
You're introducing bias. How do you know that you're satisfying your customers there?
That's why for me, I'm glad I got you now, because I'm just a salesman. I'm the consultant. Like, I can actually give them an education on what they need to, but I'd rather get them to where I'd be like, so now we'll bring Horatio in.
Yep. And I come in, I speak, I meet with your customers, I meet with your staff, I meet with the C-suite. I start my assessment based on what your customers needs, and then we take it from there, where you are right now. And it's beautiful, because in my day job, I'm a business process improvement specialist. I literally do value stream mapping, process improvement, change management,
Yeah,
all of those niceties.
yeah,
So you don't come into AI throwing away your previous skills. You augment your skills using AI. And
yeah.
that's why when I started out, I said 7 years, over 7 years as a management analyst, because my first job was to assess organization as an organization development specialist. And then I brought AI on top of it. And it's at that point where I realized that, wait, the traditional way of doing business transformation is through the door. Because if you're going to do it the same way, you're going to be in trouble. If you assess your organization, then bring AI into the picture later on down the road, you're going to be in problems. So you now have to bring AI back to the front. So when you're doing your assessment, AI is in the picture. What are our products? Um, do I have the infrastructure? Do I have the data? Do is this what my customers want?
Yo, let me tell you what's crazy too. Back to the same people that I was talking to. So, what we're actually talking about is similar to what their whole company was about. It was basically about doing hypothesis data analysis on companies and giving them charts and stats, and so they can understand their business better. And but when I asked, what confused me, and I loved it because I was like, wow, this is $1 billion idea. But the name of the company, like I said, I don't want to say the whole thing, but it, because I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? But it did have black in it. And I just felt like, just like you trying to get funding and da 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 da. And where we are today, come on, look at the new AI bill, man. You can't even try to go get a federal grant if you say diversity. Are we just trying to help black and brown? Like you got to go around all of that now to even try to get a federal grant.
All right, let me tell you this now, Eric. And this is where we are gonna be at edge. Let me tell you about the experience I had back when I was learning. I went into this organization as an organizational development specialist. I was supposed to restructure the organization, which I did. They had a performance management system that was 5 years old. Nobody was doing anything to it. It was one of the big five. I call it the big threes.
Mm-hmm.
When I got there, they handed a book to me. Here, tag this on to your duties. You're now performance manager. And when I assessed things, and this is where I brought in change management into it, it was a people problem. And the big consultant firms, they come in and they hand you a playbook, right? And they leave you with that playbook. We are not advocating that as a chief AI officer. If we develop that playbook, we should be able to work with the team to bring that playbook to fruition and actionize the items in it. One of the main reasons why policies fail is because they don't have any action item to it. And this is a rare gift also, where if you can work from the goals of the organization to the objectives of the staff to the outcomes required through direct actions that are tying the policies to the objectives, then you will be successful. And this is where I think the big fours are going to be losing out, if big fives are going to be losing out if their operating models don't change. So as a chief AI officer, as an AI implementer, one of the biggest and best tool that you can have in your tool sets is to be able to actionize some of those policies, some of those requirements, and fulfill the needs of your customers. Trust me, organizations will want you once you're able to do that.
They're gonna have no choice, especially where we seem to be going. So measuring AI success, your track record: 50K saved, 120 labor hours weekly, 3-month cycle time reductions. Definitely concrete numbers. How do you approach measuring AI ROI? And what metrics should leaders be tracking? And how do you ensure AI projects deliver measurable value rather than just cool technology?
First of all, when you're saying return on investment, it comes back to where you started the whole process, right? As is the case now, a lot of individuals, a lot of leaders don't really understand the power of AI. So they're not able to envision the return on investment that they could get or what they should obtain. This is where you come in as the chief AI officer, helping to build that vision based on what is there and the resources that is present in the organization. For me personally, I would take an iterative approach, which means that I would start out with a lower return on investment and then build it out in
Right.
a systematic plan, because you're starting with where you are.
But I don't think anybody's really getting a return on their investment right now, to be honest, which I think they're just preparing.
All right, let me give you a very good example. I've used AI. I started training myself how to use AI. That's how I got into AI first. I got up one day, started using AI. I do value stream mapping, right? Normally, when I interview folks, I go on Visio and I draw those value stream maps. more complicated maps might take a while to draw because you have to do the interviews, document your flows and everything. And I'm not able to do that. When I used to do like a department based on the department size that I work with, normally it takes about 3-4 weeks. I can get that done in less than a week. So that you can see the return on investment there.
Right. Yeah.
There are ways you can track, and that is one of the way that I have suggested that persons do it. Look at the time that your staff is takes to complete a project.
Yeah.
Assess it before you use the AI and after you use the AI. Also look at the output of the AI. Did your profits increase? Did your cost increase? Was your cost lowered? Was your cost lowered? Because if you're saving money or you're becoming more efficient, that means you should save money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can use that money to offset some other form of development. Granted, you can basically sometimes upfront the cost upfront to get the work done is you pay more upfront to get the work done, right? But you can offset that cost by tracking your output, by tracking your efficiency. What I
Right.
do is I I advise my clients to start out by just having your staff just use the AI, play with it within reason, of course, and certain security. Play
Mm-hmm.
with it. Tell us where you have efficiency gains while we educate yourself on it, while we educate you on it through change management. So when we get into it and we start the project with you, we know where you are in terms of what is your comfort level with AI.
Right. Right.
So we can better be able now to, because you must form a baseline.
Yeah. I'm actually doing that. I'm in the midst of starting a tutoring space for AI tutoring, and for fourth to sixth to seventh to eighth and eighth to ninth graders, but also parents, teachers, and everybody else too. But for particularly for the kids projects that I have, I do have a baseline so I can know once they come in where they are weekly, bi-weekly, and then monthly. And I also want to make sure that I have a tracking system to make sure that the parents know that with me, they're using their neural networks and they're actually firing off those neural networks and they're learning, because I have to put emphasis on that. I think there's a problem with this also, and people are not talking about that. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yes,
Yeah.
it's a
So
serious problem. It's just because what AI does for those technical persons who are already developed, it increases their efficiency. For entry level folks, I would advise that they go through the rudimentary development. For
yeah.
instance, I learned about statistics from using SPSS, eViews. We had to gather the data, we had to do everything. So even with AI now, I am able to connect. I'm not doing machine learning, but I can connect with supervised, unsupervised data. I know about causation. I know about correlation. And that was many years ago. So if I want to jump into machine learning, I can. But there's also another issue. And I put this to you. How do you ensure that your students are using AI outside of their classroom time?
You can't. I mean, as far as, so for me, that's what I'm saying. There's going to be a problem. So for me, like I also thought about, like, you know how you might have kids that don't want to come to your class. I don't want them. I only want kids that want to learn this. And because I don't have time to be trying to force you to learn this. I don't, they could go, maybe there could be another tutoring course for that. I just need kids that, because once I educate you on what this really is and what you could become, good or bad, it's your decision from that point on. It's only my job to basically educate you on what does happen when you do use your neural networks. That's why I do love the MIT thing they just did. Was it small? Yeah, 18 people here, 18 people there. Yeah, that's not a big group. At least somebody did something, and it did show statistically that the people using ChatGPT, majority of them are using it wrong. And I'll give you an example. I have something called Try Promptly that I use, or called Prompt Perfect or whatever it is. But what happens is when I create a prompt, even though I understand the concept of prompting, but what happens is, say for instance, I put a vague prompt in it. It gives me the option to hit feedback. And what I like about feedback, it gives you, the first thing it gives you is what you did good. I like that. Even if you didn't do nothing good, it still gives you something that you did good. And then it gives you 3 things that you should have done. To me, by reading that, you're firing off your neural networks. And to me, I think this is so serious today, especially that we're learning this now. I didn't know about this years ago. So for me, when I'm tired and don't want to figure something out and want AI to do it, I'll be like, man, you better fire neural networks, because I have to get smarter for myself. I can't be no dummy and let AI end up doing all the work and I'm a zombie, because they're going to zombie people out in the future. And that I feel is terrible. So for me, what happens is when you hit feedback, you learn from that. But the better thing is when you hit perfect, it actually perfects your prompt. Man, you could take a vague prompt and take Prompt Perfect and hit perfect. Man, what it gives you will blow your mind. But the thing about it, it don't always be 100% of what you want. And so that's the key. Don't just hit perfect and then go. Read it. See what it say, because it might be some things you want to take out of there and add to it. To me, that makes you fire off your neural network. But the average person going to hit perfect and go.
But you see, that's the thing, Under normal circumstances, AI gives you 60 to 70% accuracy. You now have to take that and iterate that. And in some cases, you don't get exactly what you want.
But they don't know that. But you heard about the lawyer a while. That was last year. He was a known lawyer, they said. Like, he didn't even read his cases to see if they was actually real cases,
Wow. And that's why, for me personally, I do have some beliefs. As an organization, you need to work to build up your knowledge center. Your knowledge center is very important, because that's where if you keep that constantly updated, your accuracy within your organization should be better in terms of getting that output. That's the first thing you need to build up. While you're building your data, building your knowledge base, building a process inventory. So these things are key. As I said before, you're not throwing out the traditional stuff. You're just increasing your process inventory, your knowledge center. All of these information need to be up to date so that you can use it to develop your AI going forward.
Evan just said, Eric, you have your own student parent KPIs. Companies struggle to find the right KPI and metrics for each phase of the AI lifecycle. One of my goals is to create a playbook for KPIs. So Evan, we're going to have to talk to him, man, because
Evan, what I need you to do is go back to management analysis, business transformation, and look at the KPIs that I use traditionally, and then see how those fit into your AI life cycle. Because that's how you build out your system.
I actually created my first lesson for the 4th to 6th. No, it was the 4th to 5th graders. So one of them is called AI or Not. That's one of the lessons. And what we do is we go through a PowerPoint presentation with maybe up to 15 slides. And is this AI? They'll say thumbs up or either thumbs down. And then we'll go to the next slide and it would either say thumbs up or thumbs down. And it would explain why it's AI or why it's not AI. So that's one of the lessons for the 4th to 6th graders. But then We even have a machine learning lesson where we basically use a cat and use different things, and we'll put it in the box. Like, it's so many ways that you can educate these kids, but you got to do it on their grade level. You know what I'm saying? So, but they're going to have to learn this and implement it. So for me, I'm going to tell you, man, I've been working on these curriculums for a while. I have everything. I'm telling you, man, there's probably
Wow.
nothing that I haven't covered as far as the evaluations when they coming in. I have a 6 month curriculum, two days a week for fourth to fifth, 1 hour, fifth, sixth to seventh, an hour and a half, um, eighth to ninth, 2 hours. I already have it to where, like, maybe the first, you got to come in first 10 minutes, we talking, then you have like where they're working. It could be a group session, it could be them individual. I have all the times mapped out. I have all the lessons mapped out. It's only for 6 months. I mean, it ain't that big, but I have everything covered. I haven't printed out all the lessons literally, but I'm going to sell these packages too.
All right. So I'm glad you spoke about that. You're looking at a math teacher. I taught math for 2 years. I taught college readiness math, algebra 2. I have several books out actually. Math Marvel, Horatio Morgan on Amazon, Algebra 2, Horatio Morgan. And one of the things that I was a resource teacher. One of the things that I used to teach my students was I developed a style where I broke down the questions into simple steps. I took my students through those steps without putting any pressure on them to learn anything, just going through it for fun, then having them go through the steps and start learning the steps so that when they start remembering these stuff. And now you're talking about neural networks, right? I didn't even know that I was doing it at that time because I had them going through steps, practicing, and then when we reach to a point now, then they would go through and do the questions without even thinking. That's building their neural networks.
Right.
So
And
I
that's
mhm. Go
that's
ahead.
what has to happen today, because these companies are literally trying to take that ability away from you, because the less you use your neural networks, the more you rely on their AI, and the more you give their AI synthetic neural networks.
Yeah. So we have to impose those sort of learning within our training package, and that is what is going to make us different
Right.
because we go through the steps and we educate our students, we teach them because I have a training package that I'm working on with my team also, and
You
I'm
know what I'm
bringing
afraid of? Not to cut you off. You know what I'm afraid of? Third party companies that don't look like us, that don't care about us, that got a little more status because of their name, going into these companies, going into these schools, going into these education departments, teaching some old half-ass regular, you use my tools, here's how you use AI. And the education department never asked them one of these questions: what are you doing with the data? Or can you not use our data? Because they're not even going to do it. If you any ain't no company going to say you can use our system or we'll educate you, because the reason most of these third parties going to come in is because they done built them a machine learning system where they want you to use their stuff. You know what I'm saying? I either lead you to someone where they're getting a cut. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, I'm afraid of them not teaching ethical AI, them not teaching where you want to make sure that you use your neural networks and you learn along with the AI, because that's one of the things that will actually make you a zombie if you don't. Like, to me, I feel like we have to give it to them real. Listen, if
ah
you don't use your neural networks, you will turn into a zombie. Not like that, but you know what I'm saying? Let them really understand, because I don't want in 10 years, like, you never told us to you just told us the tools to use and how they're beneficial to us.
and you're hitting on a very good point there. I believe they call her the mother of AI, Van Swami or what, and she said that for AI to truly become inclusive, we're going to need different populations using AI. which means that my use of AI will be different than your use of AI. So if you are coming in with a tool that's for your use and telling me as a different segment of the population that I must use it, then it's not necessarily going to fit me. I'm not going to be able to develop my innovation. And this is what I love Oxford about. Man, those people tell you, listen, we want innovation. You're not there because you know about the 4 levels of AI, right? The 4 levels of AI. We want it to be operating at level 3 and level 4. You are supposed to be innovation, and innovation comes from diverse population.
But so that's what I'm saying. So how if we're not in the room, like my book, it's not behind me, it's in my bag. The Algorithm of Power. My book talks about we're not in the room. We're very, very. I think Facebook or Google, one of them's like 4%. Like if we took them all, we took all the 5 companies. We're less than 10% in the room. And when I say in the room, we have to be in the room a part of making the decisions. We have to be in the room making decisions on when the data gets inputted in the model. We have to be able to also have input on that because diversity is the only way this thing is really, really going to work and be fair, because otherwise we're going to end up in 100 years only knowing their culture and only knowing how they want things to be, and everything we've ever known in the past is going to be lost.
My brother, it's funny. I actually did another program in England where I learned about diversity. This book, Cultural Intelligence, and this was identified from back in 27 as the skill sets that's needed for cross-border intelligence, cross-border intelligence for business. This was identified as the #1 skill. Um, this book is very good. Cultural Intelligence,
Okay.
very good. We're talking about bringing innovation to different sectors of the population. And for AI to be very effective, we're going to have to do that. As a chief AI officer, you're going to have to learn to work across borders. Within the organization, you're talking about different functionalities, different functional departments. You're talking about different levels also. You're talking about the C-suite. You're talking about operations. You're talking another area, your vendors outside. So you, by definition, must be cross-border in your thinking to be dealing with different levels of stakeholders, and to be able to identify what they need and bring that to the fore in your AI product.
All right, look, man. I'm gonna give you one more question, man. I got to give you 2 more questions actually because you talked about the AI, the AI, the agents. So you built AI co-pilots and designed intelligent agent libraries. There's a lot of buzz around AI agents right now, from customer service bots to autonomous business process agents. From your experience actually building these systems, where do you see the most promising opportunities for AI agents in business, and what are the pitfalls leaders should avoid?
Well, right now we are in the beginning stages of using agents, right? And with the black box effect, we don't really know what's happening there. Agents are very useful.
Explain to the viewers, even when we do edit this video, what is a black box? This is very important.
Okay, so the black box effect is that within the AI system itself, it's run on neural systems, and neural systems are like one point to the next, how it processes information. Now, we as human beings, we don't know what is happening within the AI. We know we give it a command, it executes it in a vague way, in terms of chunking the information and pulling it apart. But we really don't know what is happening there.
Yeah. We just know what come out and we fine tune it, but what happened inside and how it came out with those, we don't know, because it could be billions of calculations.
So, with that point said, there's a lot of upside to AI agents. But this is where I go back to the fact that I love my rack system. You must build in cutoff points. You must build in security points. And this is where my brother um, Evan comes in. He's an expert to me on what happens there. And he tells us that we must have at every level, we must have security points with the information that goes into an AI system, and also control the AI from going to control where the AI pulls its information from and the information, how it processes that information. So in terms of opportunity, it's a wide world out there. AGI is, we're just at the beginning. In terms of threat, it's also wide because everything is on the internet. Literally.
51% of bots are on the web right now. We know 49% humans. And the problem is 51% of those bots, 37% are bad bots.
Yes. So this is where if you're building an AI system, I would highly suggest you build an internal knowledge-based system where you can using data links, data bridges, where you can control the information that goes that moves within your organization. You must control those exit points. Right now they're using APIs, but you must control those exit points. We don't know how much APIs hold, but we need to control our AI so that it doesn't go out without our control on the internet. I would suggest that if you're building an AI system, try to build it in a sandbox. Build a sandbox system first where you can test your product, you can develop your product, and roll it out in small chunks.
Can you connect a RAG to a sandbox system?
A sandbox system is basically just a system that is controlled, and all exit points to the internet, to external points are shut off, where you can develop your AI system within a control space. It's like a control space. You take a man, you lock him in a room, and there is no exit for him, so you control everything.
But can you get external info like RAG? Can you get it like what is it? Retrieval augmented generation? Can you get that from it? Does it have to stay internal?
It has to stay internal.
Okay.
But you have to input that information in there, because at that moment you don't understand what is happening. And therefore, I don't suggest that you have any links to the internet whatsoever. You get your internal information there within that sandbox, because you can replicate what you have.
Yeah, because you're still using AI. AI is really just your data, basically. You should not worry. You're not using nobody else's data except yours.
But you still have to protect your data.
Yeah.
You have to protect your data, because you don't want your data to be corrupted while you're doing all of these tests. So there must be some guardrails also in place to protect your data, whether you are replicating your data for the sandbox system while you're protecting your source of your data.
Wow. I guess the model's going to have to be built like that. You're not going to have to go. You ain't going to have to. You can't go get one of them open source models.
No, you can't. You can't.
You know what I'm saying? All right, look, last question. The future of AI in business. Looking ahead, you obviously staying current with the latest developments through your Oxford program, giving everything you learned, both from academic research and real-world implementation. How do you see AI reshaping business over the next 3 to 5 years? And what should leaders be preparing for now? And what emerging capabilities are you most excited about from business transformation perspective?
I had a discussion the other day with one of my colleagues, and it has to be quantum.
I know.
It has to be quantum.
But right? Don't they keep saying when quantum come, Bitcoin is over? Like, I keep hearing
I don't know about that, but I know that Oxford is making quite a bit of progress in the area. Even when I was in there June, they made a discovery in terms of the qubits, and it's small going forward. For me, I was thinking between 2 to 5 years. My friend was saying that 2 years for business. He's a business technologist with Citrix. He's saying 2 years for quantum, for the processing power, and for the capacity, because
2 years.
resources
Two
is a
years.
problem with is an issue with resources is an issue with AIs
Yeah.
right now, right?
They ain't
And
even got
quantum can solve
power for
that.
AGI. We talk
That's
about
it.
power for quantum.
I see quantum in 5 years.
Yeah.
My friend was saying 2 years. Because
Damn.
remember, I know we have a mass now, a mass on it for the first time in history.
But let me ask you this though: when you say even if that's the case, I don't think that's in too many people's hands. I know China got more quantum centers than us.
Don't even go there. When I was in Europe, I think Asians are well ahead of us in terms of a trained population,
Yeah.
discipline, and how they are implemented. Yeah, we can say that they have a closed political system where you understand that level
Yeah.
of it. But even with Europe being ahead of us, a lot of the European programs are now being taught by Asians, because I was there. It's been taught by Asians.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Well,
even
shit.
here,
50% of people that work in the big 5 companies are Asian.
so yeah, they're well ahead of us, and Europe is ahead of us. I like the work that Europe does with their EU Act, where they have an overarching authority and then a lower level authority that impose it on the different countries. I like that. I'm not a fan of an open system.
You
I,
know
I,
what's crazy? And you know what's crazy? I might be a fan of an open system, but I'm not a fan of open weights.
true. That's very important.
You know what I'm saying? Like that right there is crazy. So you basically telling the bad guy, here you go. I don't understand this shit, man. Like, what? I didn't even, when I first heard about that, that was about like maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I heard about that. And I had to read about it on what it meant. And when I read it, I was like, oh shit. Like, yeah, I could see open source in some, but you have to still limit that too. You know what I'm saying? But now you giving them, like, you giving the bad guy the gun and the bullets.
Yep.
And there's nobody to come put you in handcuffs.
Yep. And that's my issue. That's my issue. And,
So,
and we know nothing in life works open. There has to be order.
right.
I'm a Christian, and there must be order.
You know what's crazy? In my book, once again, The Algorithm of Power, available on Amazon, I mention Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Africanism, and maybe another one or two other type of, if they want to say, religions. And I talk about those, and I talk about building ethical models, but using different parts of these religions to make sure it's ethical. And it's just mind blowing how we could, if we wanted to. I always tell people artificial intelligence is amazing. I think it's one of the best things that has happened to humanity, particularly in the healthcare industry. I just feel like it's in the wrong hands.
Yeah. Uh, think about it this way, right? And I'm always saying this: artificial intelligence did not invent itself. Every information used by artificial intelligence, we gave to it, right? So ultimately, right now, we have the power in our hands to do what is right. It just
Yeah.
takes one bad actor.
Yeah. And that's what's going to happen, man. That's what's going to happen. And my thing is, they can't give you definite answers. Sam Altman's always saying, we hope, we predict, we think, um, you know, we guess, we want to. Like, there's no definite answers. That's why when I was speaking to the young lady on the last podcast, we talked about 5 years and 10 years from now, as far as the government wanting to give the federal government tried to slip in the bill, the states can't regulate for 10 years AI. And my thing is, they don't even know where they're going to be in 10 years. Can't one AI person, one CEO say for in 5 years where they're going to be? They can say where they want to be, where they hope to be. But to say, like, years ago, you knew where you would be by prediction because of analysis and data. And I ain't talking about AI. I'm just talking about the old school way. Excel. You was able to get a good prediction on where you would be in 5 years. That's why they had 5-year marketing plans. That shit is out the window today. If you sitting there thinking you're gonna make a 5-year marketing plan, you're crazy. Because it's impossible. How can you? How the big companies don't know? You can't tell me Microsoft, OpenAI, Claude can tell you accurately, even 70, 80%. This is where we will be in 5 years from today.
You know what makes that so difficult?
What?
The most creative persons are the ones who are going to win the AI race. You can wake up tomorrow and become very creative and you blow the market away.
I keep saying that. I keep telling people creative thinking. I gotta, hold on, let me see. RIT. I got a RIT joint for Rochester Institute of Technology for critical thinking. I got a certification in that because I knew to take a course in that. And I keep telling people the critical thinkers are going to be the ones that win. It's not just because you use AI. You're going to have to be a critical thinker. You're going to have to figure out how to solve problems. All these jobs that's going to be lost, man, there's going to be so many problems to solve. You could create a minuscule app that might can help people solve a problem. You give it to 1,000 people, you'd have made some money because it helped 1,000 people. Minuscule app.
I'm glad you said that. I actually have a utility pattern now on a framework that can scale any organization from scratch up. I can go into your organization at any level, assess it where you are, and it's built on the framework of everything that I've been talking about. The process, the transformation, the people, the whatever. Everything that you see me talk about, I've already built out a major framework with my team, and we are coming to market with that. So when you hear me talk about it and write about it, we have that already. And that's where creativity comes in. And it's going to be a major disruptor to the market.
Yeah. Well, my brother, I enjoyed you. I enjoyed this time. Got a lot of good information. We're gonna have to do one with Evan, man, because I did a joint with Evan and another brother, and it was nice, man. But I got to get you and Evan, and I definitely got to get one with Jericho, man, because I like where he stands with this. You know, me myself, AI Erik, I'm just an educator. I'm out here trying to educate these people and wake us up. I started this a long time ago as a consultant company. It wasn't until I started understanding what the median wealth gap was and what the median wealth income was, and I was shocked. I was like, wow, like we ain't worth nothing. Like, and then I started understanding the impact of AI having. So what happens is with AI, I tell people AI is moving so fast, it's opened up a lot of doors that nobody expected it to open. And one of the doors that it has opened is the ability for Black people to start moving the median wealth gap up. And the only way that is going to happen is not by just using AI, but actually becoming builders of it. Becoming innovators of it, becoming 30 to 35% of the 80 million jobs coming. And what happens is more jobs are going to come after that. More jobs are going to come after that. When these AI people tell you don't learn coding, don't learn engineering, I beg to differ, because everything that has been built from this point on has been built from engineers and coders and mathematicians and you know, and so my thing is, let's rewind 7 years from now. Let's act like 30 to 35% of Black and brown people did get involved in the game. Imagine what models would be built today from them.
Wow.
Because of the genius of Black people and brown people and Latinos. But the problem is,
when I built my model, I was rejected 2 years ago, I was rejected when I built my framework. And it's the same framework that I'm talking about now on LinkedIn. This is not built now. This was built from 2 years ago when I figured that out.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, because they're going to try to put roadblocks up, and this new AI bill is trying to put roadblocks up, because now when you're trying to go get some federal grant money, you got to go around words. You know, you can't say I want to build AI for Black and brown people. You're not going to get the grant. You have to say it's for all. Like even if you have a particular project, like we can't even try to help lift us up and be vocal about it. We just have to say, well, we got an AI system. We want to get a grant, and you know, we doing this, like, just to try to sneak to try to help your people. And I think that's a problem, man. Like, they took DEI totally out of it, and then had the nerve to come with a whole thing called woke AI. What?
Oh boy.
So listen, everybody. I thank everybody for listening. Once again, man, we're gonna have to you got my cell number?
No, just send it to me and
I'll send you everything. We're gonna have to definitely connect past this, man. Once again, we're gonna have to do another joint with Evan. I want to thank everybody. Don't go nowhere. Once again, I want to say thank you for everybody watching this video. Matter of fact, let me bring him back up because I need him to make sure y'all know how to contact him. I'm gonna remove my.
Okay, so my name is Horatio Morgan. I'm with Morgan Signing House now. We do AI implementation, specialize in AI implementation, and you can contact me at 470-307-0511. That's 470-307-0511. We specialize in assessing your organization. We will pick you up where you are, wherever you are. We'll identify your customers' needs, and we'll figure out with you what's the best way to increase your return on your investment. Okay?
Cool. Once again, this is AI News with Erik. Please like, share, subscribe to our YouTube, youtube.com/@AI Erik. And our website is ailiteracy.biz. Once again, we got the book, The Algorithm of Power, available on Amazon. Horatio, peace and love. We'll be in contact.
Peace out, my brother.